It's just double vision constantly, and it's a little bit grey as well. So I've got like a grey eyesight from there onwards and double vision.
Tom Aspinall is not cleared to fight still. He is not cleared to train still, which is something, yes, that a commission can enforce. Comes with your privileged license.
The sudden and shocking revelation of Tom Aspinall's latest injury update has absolutely ignited a firestorm of conversation across the MMA world, with analysts everywhere scrambling to dissect his reports. And here's the absolute core of the issue. Despite reporting that he feels much better overall after that brutal, incredibly hard eye poke, Tom Aspinall is still battling a seriously concerning double vision problem. Now, let me be clear. This isn't just some minor inconvenience for a professional fighter. Seeing two targets in the octagon is a complete nightmare scenario, a career-threatening handicap. To get to the bottom of this, Tom went to see an optometrist who took the time to really explain the full context of his double vision, revealing that this exact condition commonly happens after an eye poke, specifically because of the significant damage it inflicts on the eye's incredibly delicate muscles.
Eye movement tests have shown that there is a reduction in the ability for the muscles of your eyes to move up. So essentially your eyeball has muscles on the outside and it works like a pulley system. So when one muscle relaxes and one muscle pulls, your eyes move across to your left and then right. If there's damage to these eye muscles, even one small muscle, which are very small, then you can get one eye moving up and the other eye doesn't follow. And if they're not tracking absolutely perfectly, then you get one image coming from one eye and one image coming from a slightly different perspective. And that's what you're getting. You're getting one image here and one image here.
While working to make sure Tom was fully aware of the true gravity of his situation, his eye specialist laid out absolutely everything for him, holding nothing back. The doctor's advice was as blunt as it gets and completely non-negotiable. He stated in no uncertain terms that Tom has to wait a bit longer to even think about fighting again, at the very least until his double vision has completely vanished, because you simply cannot step into a cage to compete with that kind of debilitating sight problem. The specialist strongly, and I mean strongly, encouraged Tom to prioritize his long-term health and vision over any kind of quick, rushed return to the octagon. At the same time, he also made a real effort to give him some positivity, some light at the end of the tunnel, so that the crushing weight of this news wouldn't leave Tom feeling completely disappointed and demoralized about his future.
Train properly, spar.
It's a long road ahead, but the prognosis is guarded at the moment. I would recommend that you wouldn't fight until your double vision's resolved for two reasons. One, it could potentially make things worse and set you back even further, or that you're training because you're still having double vision looking into the periphery, you wouldn't be at your peak. So that's the main reason. I'm sorry that this has happened, and it's not nice. It's not nice to be in this position with lots of probably pressure coming from inside you, because I know you want to fight.
First and foremost, as soon as this update on Tom's injury became public knowledge, Chael Sonnen immediately jumped into damage control mode. He tried to compensate for the incredibly harsh words that both he and Anthony Smith had said right after the injury first happened, going on the record to claim that what they had said wasn't personal in the slightest. He elaborated on this, saying that he actually really admires Tom and his father because he knows them personally, trying to paint it as just tough analysis, not a personal attack. Now, you have to contrast that with Cyril Gane's response, which was a world apart. Gane revealed that if Tom takes the criticism personally, then maybe he can apologize. A far more conditional and frankly, less sincere approach to the entire very sensitive situation.
I like Tom. I like Tom a lot. I like Tom's father. This is on a human level. I don't know Cyril. He could be a perfectly nice guy. I know that Cyril as our champion, as a company, is a problem. And anything that could force us to see John Jones versus Cyril again is a really big problem. At any rate, to just speak about this event, I remember right when it was done. I remember telling you guys, I'm mad. I feel shorted as a fan. I know what I went through to be here.
Looking back at that now infamous eye poke scene from the fight, Chael Sonnen addressed the issue again, and believe me, he was not holding anything back this time. He's on record saying that these eye pokes just do not seem unintended to him anymore. In his expert view, when something like this happens in a fight, the opponent almost always does it intentionally, not as some impulsive accident in the heat of the moment. And when it comes to Tom's specific, horrifying situation, Chael pointed out a crucial detail. Tom didn't just get hit with an eye poke once, but a staggering 3 separate times, which in his eyes casts some incredibly serious doubt on his opponent's intentions and sportsmanship.
It sounds like Tom was very legitimately hurt, without question. Some of you real tucker, you decide that even when legitimately hurt that you would have finished a fight. You go ahead, you do your thing. Do your thing. Sure you would. But if he was hurt, why wasn't it a disqualification? Why would we decide it's an accident? Why would we decide that it's unintentional? Why do we always decide it's an accident? Why do we always decide it's unintentional?
And it's so important to remember, it's not like Tom was just poked once and that was it. Rushing to defend Tom and his critical remarks aimed at Cyril Gane, the one and only Michael Bisping jumped right into the heart of the conversation, pointing out that Tom has been going through a severely tough and unbelievably frustrating period. Bisping tried to justify Tom's harsh arguments by framing it all from a fighter's perspective. He claimed that it was so painfully clear how incredibly hard Tom had been preparing for this specific matchup, pouring months of his life into it, only for it all to come crashing down because of an eye poke. So for Bisping, a fighter talking some trash about their opponent in that kind of emotionally charged situation is completely normal and expected, especially for a person who just saw months and months of grueling, soul-crushing preparation result in absolutely nothing.
Now, obviously, Tom's the one living through this. Tom's the one that's getting absolutely slaughtered online. And Tom's the one 6 weeks later still having to go to the doctor and still can't train and do any kind of combat. So he's the man that's living with this, okay? So you understand you kind of will get emotional. You will be, and you will think that Cyril Gane was doing that on purpose. I still don't, okay? I don't think Cyril Gane did that on purpose. What you want to do is crack someone in the face. And when the hands are out, when you go to grab, if someone comes in to take you down or whatever, sometimes that happens. That's why this whole rule of the fingers being up, not allowed there, but they're allowed.
Now, regarding that ridiculous and honestly disgusting trend of people digging through fan comments just to make fun of Tom, one commentator absolutely blasted those people, declaring that everyone should just stop trolling him immediately. He made it crystal clear that these aren't just critics. These are Tom's haters, people who are actively and maliciously trying to make an already tough situation even worse for him. He really tried his best to deliver a powerful shut-up call to those people, powerfully claiming that he had also been through the very same kind of difficult phase in his own career, so he could genuinely and deeply understand Tom's difficult situation. He's also trying to channel that positive energy toward Tom himself, advising him that he should do his absolute best to ignore all of those hateful, worthless, and distracting comments.
It's said than done, and it's easy to get a thicker skin like I have over the years when you've been in the spotlight for 20 years. Tom's still relatively new to this, and 1 minute is the belle of the ball, the next minute everyone online is talking. Okay, and that's a hard thing to deal with. You got to remember, yeah, he's a big gigantic dude and he's the heavyweight champion of the world, but deep down inside he's still only a human being, and it seems like the entire fan base has turned their back on him and they're talking crap. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't feel good. Like there's one right here. Tom is the most overrated fighter in UFC history.
It's just absolutely baffling. Giving some closing remarks on the entire heated discussion, Michael Bisping offered some priceless veteran advice, saying that Tom should absolutely not, under any circumstances, rush to fight and make a premature comeback. Instead, at this incredibly sensitive stage of his recovery, he needs to listen intently to his doctors and follow their professional advice right down to the letter. He added that Tom should be looking forward to his career's peak because he truly believes that soon enough, Tom will be all right and back to his normal life. But, and this is the critical part, to get there, he absolutely must be patient and incredibly persistent throughout this difficult and frustrating recovery process.
Granted, I don't think it's that serious, although the fact that 6 weeks later he's still not cleared for competition, that is alarming. First thing he's got to do is listen to the doctors. Do not rush anything. The man's still young. He's in his prime. He's not on borrowed time. He's still got years ahead of him. Listen to the doctors. Come back, whoop some ass, take the gloves off. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Tell everyone to go themselves, knock some people out, and this whole escapade will be behind him. Doing interviews and showing the receipts and showing the doctor's appointments and all the rest of it, I don't think that's the way forward. I really don't. But anyway.
While listening to Tom Aspinall's video where he was explaining everything that happened after the eye poke, the analyst, famously known as the anime guru, stated that since Tom has now publicly claimed his eye poke injury was very real and backed by medical evidence, all the people who were making fun of him should have the decency to step up and formally apologize to him. He went on to say that anyone who actually thinks Tom's medical reports are somehow fake probably just takes the sport of MMA in a very casual, uniformed, and frankly, disrespectful manner. He really drove the point home by saying this is the heavyweight championship of the world we're talking about here. So everyone should really mind their words and think twice when they're talking about these truly elite, world-class fighters.
Confirmed clinical findings by eye doctors in hospitals. Everybody's still out there maybe saying, this is fake, this is such... We ain't accepting apologies, dude. You're on that side, you're on that side. You want to be one of them, you're on one of them. Okay? I still see people on Twitter saying, this is ChatGPT. This ain't ChatGPT, dude. What do you think this is? He's cooking up a fake little thing to type down, fake doctor's notes to put up on his Instagram. This is the heavyweight champ we're talking about here, dude. This is Tom Aspinall.
However, things took a very strange and unexpected turn when the guru started to break down Tom's confirmed clinical findings in what can only be described as a ridiculous and deeply sarcastic way. He sarcastically announced to his audience that Tom has been diagnosed with a bilateral traumatic Brown syndrome. Then he immediately started questioning it, pretending to suspect that this trauma is somehow being linked to cognitive diseases, even though Tom's primary and stated concerns are clearly with a physical eye injury. He acted all surprised, asking his viewers how an eye injury could possibly be linked to cognitive diseases, a theatrical performance clearly designed to make the official diagnosis sound doubtful and incredibly hard for casual fans to believe.
Tom Aspinall was poked, and Cyril Gahn put his fingers in Tom Aspinall's eyes, and Tom Aspinall got Brown syndrome from it. I don't know if this is a symptom of Brown syndrome on Tom Aspinall. Maybe this is late stage, and there's still a chance. But bilateral traumatic Brown syndrome. He's got Brown syndrome. It could have been a different one that sounds similar. Different type of syndrome. We dodged that one for now. He always looked a bit like Shane Gillis. Bilateral traumatic Brown syndrome, indicating disruption of the superior oblique tendon trochlear mechanism.
After the possibility was raised that Tom might actually need surgery, the guru put on a show and appealed that it shouldn't come to that. He argued that if Tom really needs a major operation on his eye, then it will become far less possible for him to ever make a successful comeback to the sport he loves. He also bizarrely coined a new term for Tom's injury, calling it a Bisping-itis, which is an obvious and somewhat tasteless reference to Michael Bisping, who also suffered a career-altering eye poke. He then went on to claim that it seems like all the UK guys are supposed to get an eye poke. So on one side, you have the guru pretending to be deeply worried about Tom's career, while on the other hand, he's actively and shamelessly making fun of him and his injury.
No surgery, please. That sounds dreadful. That sounds like a lot of time off. That sounds like permanently worrying about it moving forward. Maybe it could go wrong, the surgery, and if it goes wrong with the eyeball, it could really go wrong. Dude, is it the Bisping curse of UK UFC fighters? Arnold Allen's got to watch out. You know? Himlet's fighting for a title against Gaethje. Pack your goggles, okay? Big time. Yeah, there might be a curse going round. I really do worry.
In a very similar vein to the guru, another analyst, Wade Plemens, also broke down the medical findings from Tom's case. but he did it with a much more serious and respectful tone, claiming that if these medical findings are confirmed to be 100% accurate, then Tom's career is truly standing at the brink of a very dangerous and uncertain stage. From his perspective, he thinks Tom should not even consider continuing to fight for quite some time, because the reports seem to indicate that both of his eyes are hurt. And for any fighter, being able to clearly watch and track an opponent's every single move is not just important, it's absolutely essential for their safety and success.
And the reason I think this is a big deal, number one, if Tom can't move his eyes from left to right, up and down freely and see everything coming his way, he can't fight. Now, again, this is a bad thing if it's as bad as we're saying in the video here when it says traumatic Brown syndrome, indicating disruption of the superior oblique tendon trochlear mechanism. That's not the end of this. That's not the end of the road when it comes to how bad this could potentially be. But if you can't use your eyes without turning your head to see things, like if your eyes are stuck in a very limited space, think about like tendonitis of the eye muscle.
While responding directly to all those people who are trolling Tom online and maliciously comparing his eye poke to Michael Bisping's, Plemens made it absolutely clear to them that Bisping's eye poke was not nearly this serious, which is precisely why he was miraculously able to continue playing with his one injured eye. But in Tom's case, the situation is completely and fundamentally different. Both of his eyes are hurt, and he has very serious, specific eye concerns that need to be addressed. Because of that, he should not be focusing on public trolling or online drama at all. Instead, he needs to take a significant, extended gap from combat sports to allow his body to properly and fully heal.
And not being able to move them, that's GG's on your career, because one thing you need, as much as you need anything else in MMA to fight, is your eyes. You can't see punches coming, you can't see where your opponent is, you can't see out of the peripheral vision of your eye for strikes coming behind other strikes. This is a problem. And for the people that are going to say, oh, well, Mike Bisping fought with one eye, Tom should be able to do the same. Well, okay, yeah. First off, Mike Bisping shouldn't have been fighting with one eye. But secondly, this is bilateral traumatic Brown syndrome. So it's not just the bad right eye that Tom Aspinall was talking about. Apparently, he's got it in both eyes. Both eyes having a hard time moving around in his skull.
After breaking down Tom's video message, Wade said that he finds it absolutely awful that Tom is even in a position where he feels he has to explain his eye poke scenario to the fans, and even more critically, to Dana White, who some people believe might think Tom should just tough it out and continue fighting with one eye. He added that he believes there are high chances the UFC could treat Tom harshly moving forward, especially since some of his partners and team members have said some rude things about the UFC as well. This entire messy situation just makes things more complicated and stressful for Tom himself, because this kind of friction with the organization could potentially lead his entire career towards a dead end.
The fact that Tom has to explain this to people that are either online or, in this case, Dana White, is insane. Dana White pulling the Tom's not tough enough card is ridiculous to me. Oh, well, he just didn't want to fight. No, it's not that he didn't want to fight. It's that if he chooses to fight without having any vision, he will not only surely lose, but also may impair his health even further. And like Dana said, who gives? They'll just move on, put the belt on Ciryl Gane, probably blackball Tom based on the stuff that Tom's dad said, based on the fact that Tom doesn't want to fight a certain heavyweight, and based on the relationship they have, and because the UFC runs the whole thing, they can kind of do that.
While giving his personal opinion on Tom's situation, an analyst named Emma Joey openly and disrespectfully mocked Tom's way of posting videos while wearing sunglasses, as if that was the most important part of the story. After hearing Tom's harsh words directed at Dana White, he claimed that this kind of public criticism could easily lead Tom's career towards a very destructive and irreversible turn. He added that as a direct consequence of speaking out against the company, Tom could very well be denied another chance to fight for the undisputed heavyweight title, a kind of punishment the UFC is notoriously known for dishing out to fighters who step out of line.
With sunglasses on a cloudy day, saying he has no idea when he might fight again, and also trashing Dana White a little bit. And I do believe that all this is heading down one road, and that is the road of Tom Aspinall being stripped of the UFC undisputed heavyweight title. And I don't really see it going down any other way. I'm not going to guarantee it because we'll have to see how it goes, but I'm really starting to think that Tom Aspinall is going to end up stripped of the heavyweight title and we'll probably end up with a Salsa Boy versus Cyril Gane for the undisputed heavyweight title in 2026, which would be absolutely insane.
After hearing the narrative from Tom's doctors, Joey immediately showed his profound skepticism, saying that it sounds incredibly weird that Tom is supposedly left with only low vision from the injury. It really truly seems like Joey did not believe a single word of the official medical report. He also openly mocked the people who were actually trusting Tom at this point, suggesting that he thinks the situation is not nearly as difficult or as serious as it's being made out to be, but that perhaps people are just exaggerating the whole thing for some kind of dramatic effect.
These eyes are damaged so badly that they are hurt 6 weeks later. Apparently he's legally blind now. That's the narrative they're going with. That is in the doctor's report, that he has like 8% and 21% vision, something along those lines, which is absolutely insane. These are the eyes. These are the damaged eyes. I mean, this is absolutely insane. I really can't believe there's...
And then he said, those people who actually believe this, before Joey really insulted Tom's entire team. He claimed that his team partners and cornermen are not doing what's best for him right now. He argued that since this is the heavyweight championship level, his friends and teammates should be 100% focused on keeping his spirit high instead of allowing him to look miserable and defensive in front of the public. He also thinks that Tom desperately needs to be a bit more patient and far more strategic if he truly wants to stay and ultimately succeed in the brutal sport of mixed martial arts.
And I'll say this right now, Tom Aspinall has the worst team he could ever imagine. They keep making him look worse over and over and over again, when he should have just shut up and said, look, I'm going to get healthy and I'm going to get my get back. I'm going to get my rematch. Instead, he's crying. Gane's such a dirty cheater. Let me show you a compilation of him cheating over the course of 6 years. And crying about eye pokes when you quit in a heavyweight title fight while you're defending the heavyweight title that you never even earned. But these are his eyes within 12 hours of him being eye poked, and now we're 6 weeks later and magically he has all these. But we'll get to that in a second.
In the end, the entire MMA world is left collectively wondering what's next for Tom Aspinall. Ever since his first video explaining the injury was leaked, analysts have been talking non-stop about his health concerns and his future. A lot of analysts seem to think that Tom is just pretending to be sick and is actually faking the severity of his eye poke, while many others are saying that Tom is just exaggerating his injury concerns. It's become clear these are often the haters of Tom, the ones who favor other fighters like Cyril Gane or John Jones. But on the other side of the coin, there are some other analysts who truly understand his condition and even justify his immense frustration and exhaustion. However, the case is not as simple as people are considering it, because Tom has apparently been found to have Brown syndrome, which is a really serious concern for both his long-term health and his fighting career. Now the whole community is on the edge of their seats, curious about the next steps for both Tom and the UFC, and wondering whether Tom's career is going to end here, or if he will get another chance to shine after he recovers.